Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Life Stories. My name is Trent, and as usual, I hope you're all doing awesome. Today we got some stories coming at you fast from Reddit/idontworkherelady. So, without further ado, let's get started. Our first story is titled, I Used to Work Here, Lady. The wife encouraged me to share this old story from my college days, so here goes. For background, I used to work at a convenience store in my college days, one famous for its partially frozen, slurpable drinks. We were located just off of a major highway in South Florida, so we got a ton of traffic day in and day out, with plenty of regulars each day. I worked there for a few months until a string of robberies started happening at various convenience stores in my area. To paraphrase Will Smith, one convenience store got hit too close to mine, and my mom got scared and said, "You're quitting that job and finding a different one." Much as I loved that job and hated quitting, my mom was right, and the store did wind up getting robbed about a week after I left. Nobody was hurt though. I left on good terms with my boss and coworkers though. I found a job at the local grocery store shortly after that. On to the story. After class one day, I decided to pop into my old store for a drink and some snacks. Bear in mind, I was wearing a red and black polo that looked distinctly different from the store uniforms, but used the same basic color palette. I was rather chatty with the clerk while I did my shopping. I set my snacks on the counter and walked over to the drink dispenser, grabbed a cup, and before I could turn the nozzle to start pouring that half-frozen delight, I hear the familiar call of the wild Karen behind me. "Excuse me." Yes? "Can you pour me a large red one?" "I guess." I poured her one and started pouring one for myself. "And I need some taquitos and some scratchers too." Cool. Sounds like a fun afternoon for you," I said. Karen walks off to grab some stuff, and I head up to the front to wait for my cashier buddy, Jeffrey, to finish ringing up a customer so I can also check out. A few seconds later, Karen steps up and stares at me for a minute. I felt her eyes on me and asked her politely, yes, ma'am?" "I thought I told you I wanted taquitos." "Yeah, and scratchers. And?" "Aren't you going to get them for me?" "No, I can't." "What do you mean you can't?" "I'm not allowed back there to handle the food or the lotto. You'll have to wait for him." I point at my friend, "to check us out first." "Excuse me? I'm a paying customer, and I'm in a hurry. You work here, so I take priority over you." "Huh? I don't work here. I'm also a customer, and I got in line before you." "Don't lie. I know you work here. I've seen you stocking shelves." "Oh, I used to work here a while back, but I quit some time ago. Maybe that's why you recognize me?" "Very funny. Now quit being lazy and do your job. It's bad enough that you're lying, but you're not even smart enough to realize you're wearing the uniform, so I know you're lying." Me, now irritated at this point. "Really? Of the two of us, who's the smart one? Look at my shirt and compare it to his. Do you see the style difference and lack of a company logo?" Karen looks back and forth between me and Jeffrey, who's trying really hard not to laugh at my situation. We had a brief exchange of looks between us where I asked him to help me out, and he basically said, "Hell no, this is too funny." After a few seconds, Karen gets flushed, clearly embarrassed. "Oh, you don't work here." "Ding ding ding, we have a winner," I said. "Well then why did you get me my drink when I asked you? You're just confusing people now." No, I'm a nice person and helped you because you asked for it. You are clearly not, since you lack basic manners to say please, thank you, or even apologize for the misunderstanding." Karen, now talking at my friend, "Why didn't you do something then?" Jeffrey says, "You kept yelling. I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and he can handle himself." Karen goes quiet and sheepishly asks my friend to get her taquitos and lotto scratchers, which he does while clearly suppressing a grin, after finishing ringing me up. I grab my stuff and hauled off to the side. The register was right near the door, so I'm waiting there. Karen pays for her stuff and tries to walk past me, avoiding eye contact. Just as some final salt in the rudeness wound, I opened the door for her as she left and said after her, "You have a nice day now, ma'am." After Karen got in her car and pulled out, my friend doubled over in laughter at my situation. I threw a Twinkie at his head for not helping me out, then demanded a free taquito in my best imitation of Karen for the inconvenience. Jeffrey, if you're out there reading this, you're an a-hole, and I miss you. Hope everything worked out for you. Okay, it's good that we dealt with the Karen, but Weaponizing Twinkies is not okay. Those are for eating. Come on now. Moving along, our next story is titled, I don't want to be on the news. Don't put me on camera. Not sure if this fits, but wasn't sure where else it would. I was standing in line to get into the supermarket today, and the person just before me was a surly older gentleman who was not wearing a mask or facial covering, and appropriately wearing a biker jacket with a big patch that read, F Helmet Laws. The store has someone at the door, usually a teenager or an elderly greeter, whose job it is to ensure everyone entering the store has a face covering per their nationwide corporate mandate and under our state law. The man arrived at the greeter, who could not have been a day under 65. She said, "Excuse me, you need a face covering to enter." He said to the old woman in this macho authoritative voice, "Hey, no I don't, it's okay," and tried to walk into the store. The old woman goes, "Actually, sir, you do. It's not just policy anymore, it's the law." And he starts spouting off about how it's an unconstitutional law and how the greeter isn't in a position to enforce laws. A minute or two pass, and people further back who want to see what's happening at the front of the line are getting restless. They begin to try to see what's happening. The guy is saying, "Look, you're holding the line. If the masks really do work, then everyone who's wearing one is safe, right? And if they don't, then why do you care?" And she was getting kind of desperate at this point and said, "Well, sir, because I could lose my job if I let you in there." This is where I come in. I hadn't spoken up before because this was a big guy and I'm just a student who's no good in a confrontation. I figured adding myself to the mix would only make the situation worse. So I took out my phone and started recording. I figured he would be less likely to do something violent to the greeter or escalate further if he knew he was on camera. Here's what I had forgotten. I was wearing a shirt from a 5K that was sponsored by our local news, so it had Channel X Eyewitness News in huge print across the front. The guy's wife goes, "Good Lord, Howie, the news is filming. What if my work sees this? Jesus!" So he turns to me and starts telling me that he doesn't consent to be on TV, and starts making a speech about how we're all treading on the Constitution, not respecting people's rights to bodily autonomy or privacy. I'm trying to tell him I'm not with the news, and he's like, "I don't care if you're on the clock or not. I don't want to be on camera, and I won't be forced to wear anything I don't want to wear. When did we forget that this is America?" Now, this is where it got crazy. The line stretched all the way around the building, and people towards the end were realizing it hadn't moved in a while, and were coming up to investigate. An even bigger, more macho guy comes lumbering up and asks what the problem is. He sees this guy going off at the terrified elderly greeter, me shaking holding my phone, and is like, Sir, what's the problem right now? People here are trying to shop." The maskless guy tells him, and I quote, "Get away from me. This here isn't your business." The more macho guy proceeds to whip out a badge and identify himself as an off-duty police officer, and that the law was, in fact, his business. First, he tries to have the cop arrest me for putting him on the news without his consent, but I just played dumb at this point. My adrenaline was through the roof, and if I had been able to retain presence of mind, I would have left by that point and shopped elsewhere. The biker guy is now saying to the cop, "This isn't what you went to the academy dreaming about, man, is it? You're not stopping bad guys, you're forcing regular people to go against their beliefs." The cop said, "No one is forcing you to do anything, sir. You are free to make your own choices. You can put on a mask, or you can go home. Decide which you would like to do, because there is a line here." The biker guy keeps saying he isn't doing anything illegal, and he has a right to shop in a public business, and the cop just shakes his head and starts quoting the official mask law that the guy is breaking at him. But the biker guy is just talking over him at that point, and the cop realizes he isn't getting anywhere. So, the cop says, "Look, I don't want to escalate this, but you're not giving me a choice in this situation. If you won't leave of your own volition, you're trespassing." And starts explaining what will happen. The biker guy is ready to stand firm, and says he knows he's in the right, but his wife is smarter, and says, "Jesus, Howie, are you insane? The man's a police officer," and very ashamedly apologizes as she forces him to leave with various threats. It took nearly 15 minutes to get into the store, caused a major backlog of shoppers, and made a poor elderly woman fear for her safety. Just wear the mask or get your groceries delivered. I mean, seriously, people, of all the hills to die on. I know that by now, given the circumstances, we're all pretty sick of hearing about the laws and, the social distancing and whatnot, but it's really that important. You could legitimately save lives by doing this, and it's not that much effort. So, OP's right. You don't want to die on that hill. And it's just enough of an I don't work here lady story that I'd say it qualifies. Plus, it's topical, so why not? And with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are all out of time for today's episode. I want to thank you so much for tuning into Life Stories once again. You know me, my name is Trent. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Reddit content coming your way soon, and I hope to see you guys soon.